6 years, something like that. And so I'm gonna cover a few key points for you guys today. The first thing I'm gonna touch on is issues that we see with a lot of contractors. Very consistent problems that we see that we know if you can adjust these are gonna have an impact for you guys. We're gonna touch on what tools and what platforms you wanna use based on your business. So if you're doing commercial, if you're doing residential, if you're doing high-end copper, slate, that sort of work, which platforms make the most sense for you guys. We're also gonna go over a specific action plan that will help you in terms of what posts, how often, what days, and what makes the most sense for you guys. So, to give you a little background about Surefire, we started the company, this is a picture of our owner, Chris here, started the company in 2009 with the idea of helping contractors. And the goal was really, Chris wrote a book called Surefire Social that outlined 5 to 6 different things that you really needed to do in order to be successful from an online standpoint, okay? So far, we have about 2,400 locations that we manage. GAF is obviously a partner of ours. These are some of the others. The information that I'm gonna give you guys, I'm gonna kind of peel back the curtain and give you some specific data and specific information that you guys will be able to address and utilize right away, okay? Now, there's several different problems that I see when I talk to contractors. The first thing is that right now, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 to 2,500 different digital marketing resources. Whether you should build your website on Wix, or whether you should build it on WordPress. Should I be using Facebook? Should I be using Houzz? There's all these different platforms and tools, and simply most contractors don't have the time for you to implement and for you to figure out what makes the most sense for your business, okay? Now, there's one other problem that I see a lot of times when I talk with contractors, and it's this concept of having too many cooks in the kitchen. So the strategy behind this is when I talk to a contractor, almost always this is what happens. David, I got a friend of a friend who built me a website. I've got a girl in the office that does some social media. I hired another local SEO company, they're doing some stuff for me. Haibu, Reach Local, Yellow Pages, they're doing some paid ads. So all of these different companies have their own secret sauce, if you will, okay? They're all working off their own strategy and their own little recipe. And the problem is, when you look at just your individual part of the meal, you're not looking at how it's all gonna play together, okay? So if you guys are looking at growing your online presence, the important thing is, don't just focus on one aspect, okay? Don't just look at, is my website, does it look good? Do I have a good social presence? You wanna make sure that you've got good information. And so, when you look at your guys' online presence, I'm a car guy, I love to use car analogies, I think it kind of connects. So, show of hands in here, how many of you guys wouldn't mind having one of these? And I'm talking about the car, so we're all on the same page. Now, the problem that I see with a lot of contractors is this issue of, oh, David, I've got a great website. David, people compliment you all the time on my website. But most of the time, they're reaching out to me because they have a problem with their online presence, okay? There's something that's not performing the way it should be. So when you have somebody that's just focusing on how does my website look, they're not thinking about how are the search engines gonna index this? How are customers gonna move through? Where's the best place for me to have a form submission to get conversion out of the website? So it's kind of like having a Ferrari, or a Lamborghini in this case, with no engine, okay? It looks pretty, but it's not getting the job done for you guys. Now, one other thing that's kind of interesting to note, when we talk with contractors, number one thing, David, gotta be on page 1. It's the only thing that matters. I have to be on page 1, okay? Which is important. I don't want to stress that. But when you look at the other data that's out there, 50% of searches are done on other sites other than the search engines. So if you're just focusing on, I just gotta be on page 1 of Google, you're missing half of the pie, okay? So as you guys are looking at that, you wanna make sure, A, you've got a good directory listing program where you've got tons of listings. To put it in perspective, I have a couple businesses, they have 800 different listings where people can find information out about their business. Whether it's Angie's List, Google+, Yelp, Manta, City Search, all these different profiles, okay? Now, one other thing that's kind of interesting is when you're talking about search and you're talking about ranking, you're talking about your results, there's this, it's kind of hard to read, search metrics. This company does this analysis every year on what are the top ranking factors. And what's important to know, social is the #1 thing for them. They compile all these different factors. And part of the reason why that is because the search engines are essentially a referral service, okay? You type in, hey, who's the best roofer? And it pulls out, hey, try these 10 companies. They want to make sure that they're giving the best resources so that people continue to use Google, okay? So what they want is they want to look at social signals and social data. So when they see your business being liked or shared or commented or retweeted or repinned or reviewed, those are all good social indicators as to what the customers are actually voting for, what they're actually looking for, okay? So just kind of get an idea, how many of you guys in here have a Facebook page for your business? Everybody, I hope, please. House, how many people in here have a house profile? A couple people. LinkedIn for your business? Okay. I'm gonna touch on all of these very quickly, okay? The information I'm gonna go over, probably one slide for each one of these, and then I've got a lot more detailed information at the end of this. So another thing that's kind of interesting, when you look at how customers actually use social media, a lot of times contractors just say, hey, you know, I don't think my customers are on social media. I think we can all agree 55 plus is a target demographic for everybody in here. 27% of customers are on there. When you look at the 45 to 54, 31, 35 to 44, 37%. So your customers are on social media. It's just a matter of, are they finding you or are they finding your competitor? Now, this is good information for you guys to know in terms of what days and times you want to post. When you look at social as a good rule of thumb, Tuesday and Thursday between 2 and 4 o'clock are typically the best days to get in front of consumers, okay? Now, show of hands, how many of you guys in here have tried Facebook advertising? A couple people? Okay. I don't know if everybody's familiar with this, but they have these new channel partners. So now you can log in through your Yelp page from your Facebook profile. I can log into my CRM from my Facebook profile, or Angie's List, or other profiles that are out there. And what Facebook has done is they've made it simpler for me as a consumer. Now I don't have to have 10 logins, I just log in from Facebook. What Facebook is doing is they're compiling all that data about the individuals to allow you guys to more effectively target your customers, okay? Now, one thing that's kind of interesting to know about this, we ran a couple different programs for some contractors where we do stuff like this. We spent $38 over the span of a weekend, got 13 leads, 6 appointments, 2 closed deals, 13 grand, okay? I think everyone here will probably be okay with a return on that dollar, okay? One thing that's important to know in terms of social profiles, Houzz is a really good one for residential, especially if you're doing high-end. If you're doing cedar, if you're doing slate, if you're doing copper, this is absolutely something that you guys should be utilizing. The big thing for me is the target demographics. 450K average home, almost 90% homeowners, average income 124K. That's definitely everybody's target demographic, okay? So as you guys are looking at that, that's a great opportunity for you. You just want to make sure that the images and the posts that you guys are utilizing, high quality. Don't just put everything out there. You want to put the cream of the crop jobs that you've done. In terms of Twitter, Twitter's a good resource and a good tool for you guys. I'd probably spend some time on it, but I wouldn't allocate a lot of resources. Certainly not as much as I would for Facebook, and definitely not as much as I would for Houzz. When you look at Twitter, the important thing for you guys to know is that you got to use the right hashtags, okay? You got to use the right content, and you got to make sure that you incorporate photos. Now, show of hands in here, how many of you guys between 1 and 25% is your referral and word of mouth business? Anybody? Okay. 25 to 50%, how many, anybody in here? 50 to 75, a couple people, okay. What's kind of ironic is that most of the time, almost everybody is in that 50 to 75 category. And the interesting thing is, when you look at that and you think about how much of your business is dependent on word of mouth and referral, a lot of people really avoid reviews. And you don't think about that. But that's, you know, when Jonathan over here, when somebody tells me I need to talk to Jonathan, the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go check him out online. And when I see that he's got 5-star reviews across the board, done, it's a great deal. But if I see that he's got a couple 1-star reviews, maybe I'm not so comfortable giving him a call anymore, okay? So as you guys are looking at that, you wanna make sure that you make reviews a priority for the business. Honestly, we're past the point of time where you can just hide and poke your head in the sand and just avoid reviews. You just can't do it anymore, okay? It's only a matter of time before you get that one angry customer that actually writes a negative review. And when I look at a review strategy, the way that I tell my customers, you want to segment it. First, you want to go after Google Plus or Angie's List or Yelp, one of those profiles. You send the customer an email within 3 days of the job being completed. If you wait longer than 3 days, honestly, you're just kind of wasting your time at that point. You want to only give them one link for one site for them to review. Don't confuse them, don't give them lots of different places, one place. And you want to make sure that you get 20 to 30 reviews. You should be able to get, if you follow a process like that, you should be able to get 5 to 10% of your customers to actually write reviews for you guys. Once you get to 20 to 30 reviews, then you move on to the next profile. So if you started with Google Plus, then you move to Angie's List, then you move to Yelp. The reason why you do that is because if you just focus on one profile, 800 reviews on Angie's List, but you're not doing anything about Google Plus, when someone searches you, if you don't have a ton of reviews there and you have a 1-star there, but you've got 800 reviews on another platform, customer may not necessarily see that. So you need to make sure that you've got a diverse platform, okay? There are some different strategies. Some people send postcards. I think email or text message is really the best way to go to get those reviews completed. There are some third-party services like Guild Quality and there's a few others that you guys can utilize. That's kind of to, you know, whatever makes the most sense for your business. LinkedIn is a really, really good resource for commercial. Residential, it's good to have a profile, probably wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it. When you think about this, it's important to note that these guys are also, commercial is like the best B2B network. So if you're working with property managers and different things like that, it's a really good resource. Also, if you deal with the ultra high-end customer, the CEO, the C-level executives, the $500,000 or $1 million homes, depending on what market you guys are in, this is a good resource for you to have there because most of those individuals will have a LinkedIn account, will probably use LinkedIn more than other social profiles, so it's a good opportunity for you to stay in front of your customers. Instagram. I have some contractors, I know some guys that use it. Yeah, I don't know that's utilized the best utilization for everyone's time here. If you want to, that's great. There's some really good stuff and some tools that you guys can pick up on GAF's page in terms of what types of things you want to be posting, but I really wouldn't spend a whole lot of time and a lot of energy on it. Pinterest. Pinterest is a tremendous resource. One of the things that GAF really focuses on is selling to women. Okay, it's one of their big initiatives. And Pinterest has a demographic of something like 85% female. So it's a great opportunity for you to stay in front of the right individuals, okay? It also has a tremendous ability to drive people through to your website from social platforms. So getting referral traffic from a social profile to your website. So they do a really, really good job of driving traffic. That's the other reason why I would utilize it. One thing that's kind of important to note as you guys are looking at social and looking at what types of posts you want to do, 80% of it should be educational, 20% of it should be direct offers. If you guys are doing things like call me for an estimate or call me for a quote or it just rained, give us a call, a lot of times that's just white noise. Nobody really pays attention to it. You want to show the more personal side. If you caught a big fish, that's something you want to post on social media. Let customers see who you are. Just like when you go into a home and you connect with a homeowner, you want to do the same thing. Let's show the more personal side of your business. Obviously, you don't want to share everything, but let's see the more personal side. If you guys have charity work, if you're doing Habitat for Humanity, No Roof Left Behind, different things like that. Those are good resources, those are good tools. Now, I am by no means saying that everyone needs to be posting all of these platforms every single day. It's just simply not gonna happen, okay? As you guys are looking at social platforms and what makes the most sense, my recommendation would be find 2 to 3 that make the most sense for your business, whether it's Facebook and Houzz, Facebook and LinkedIn, Google Plus and LinkedIn, whatever the combination is that makes the most sense for you guys, and you want to stick with that and post twice a week. As I mentioned earlier, Tuesday and Thursday in the afternoon, typically the best times to post. Now, as you guys are looking at the return on the dollars that you're investing, whether it's dollars or whether it's your time that you're investing, you should expect between 2 and 5% of the individuals that are coming from your Facebook page to actually translate into leads or customers. Okay. Is everybody in here familiar with Google Analytics? You guys heard that? Okay. If you're not, it's definitely something that you want to be familiar with. It allows you to track how the site is performing, and you'll actually be able to see this data in terms of how many people are coming from Facebook, how many people are coming from GAF, how many people are coming from Angie's List and other profiles. So it helps you to really understand your return, and you can actually track conversions from it. So I can see how many people actually filled out a form, actually called the business from Facebook or from these other different profiles. So I've got this action plan. It's a lot of information, and I'm never gonna cover it all for you guys. What I will be happy to do though, as I mentioned earlier, we have a contest for an Apple Watch, as well as I'm gonna ask a question here and give away one of these bears in a few minutes. If you want a copy of this presentation with all the detailed action plan, just give me your business card afterwards and I'll be happy to run through it with you guys. Okay. So, as you're looking at posting, the important thing is you want to make sure that you're creating good content. You want to make sure you're staying consistent. Show the personal side to your guys' business, and make sure that you're posting on platforms, as I mentioned, at least twice a week. You don't have to go 5 times a week. Let's not be too aggressive here, but that's where you guys are going to generate the best return. So with that, I thank everybody for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to field any questions that anybody has, or if there's more specific or private questions, we certainly come up after. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'll ask you guys one question for this bear.